G'day everyone. So I'm just kind of testing this little QRP amplifier that I've built before in the past. And I want to go over something about why I don't really concern myself with the MOSFET bias current. So I'm going to enable my amplifier. Bang, there you go. There's my bias current. It's actually pretty high. But whatever, it's fine. I'm going to enable the input power by this GNU radio program. I'm getting about, let's say 10 watts out, something like that. Yeah, that's over 10 watts. I'm going to have to back it off a little bit because it heats up. So you can see the power climbing. Power climbing, making its 10 watts, whatever. If I disable it, you'll see that the bias current will go way up. But because the heatsink will cool the MOSFETs down, the MOSFET bias current will back off again. So I'm not too concerned about it. So if I'll start her up again. There we go, 57 volts, a little bit low actually. Give me my 63.5 volts. There you go, something like that. Perfect. See, it's getting the power out. 10 watts. Untick, 1.2 amps bias current. And as soon as you take the drive away, the bias current will fall because the heatsink will cool the MOSFETs. So I'm not too terribly worried about thermal runaway with these MOSFETs. Sure, you can cook them but you won't cook them with bias current. You'll cook them by overdriving them, like just leaving CW on like I was doing. Anyway, the heatsink isn't that warm. I can keep my finger on it. It's nice and a little bit warm. So that probably means it's like what, 45 degrees or something, if that. So there you go. Also, I can also. The other thing I'm not too worried about is so transmitting away, whatever. I'll take the unkey the amplifier, blink, and that is my standby current of an amplifier, 0. Key on. Yeah, they heat up, and they'll take more current. And key off, 0. So I'm not terribly worried about my amplifier, even if I turn this on, just leave it biased there. It's slowly heating up. Okay, fair enough. It's not really that big a deal though, is it? That's 8 watts into this heatsink, and there's no fan on it. So if I have a fan, or it's a little bit better. It's kind of why I don't bother with having the little diode measuring the MOSFET temperature to back off the bias. Sure, it would be more stable, but do you need it? Don't know. I suppose I should also explain the two amplifiers I just used. So my signal source was a hack RF. These can only make about -10 dBm or maybe up to 1 milliwatt, at least this one. I think it has a problem, but not really a problem for me. So yep, that one makes about -10 dBm or something. I amplify said signal through my favorite transistor, the transistor with a lot of 2s, the 2N2222, another one. And then this gets sent over to a Class A MOSFET amplifier. So this thing can only produce about maybe 500 milliwatts or so. Mainly because of the way I've got it set up. It's directly coupled to the filter. There's no impedance matching, so this is going to have a 50 ohm load on it, which is not much of an ask for this transistor. It doesn't really get hot at all. Honestly, I probably didn't even need the heatsink. Anyway, set up with a little 7805, 78L05 bias there. Be careful with these. The pinouts backwards compared to what you think of the regular one. And obviously, some supply coupling filtering and some output filtering, so the signal coming in is nice and clean to the next amplifier. This one, let's see if I can get it in the light. Might be helpful. Signal comes in through the receive transmit relay. I've only got it on a switch at the moment. Yeah, same type of setup as the other thing over there. It's got a 78L05 and then just a little trim pot here to set up the bias. Couple comes in through a 4:1 transformer, which drops it down to 12 ohms drive, which is why I've got 10.2 ohms there. Across the gates, that goes to ground, and I put my bias here. And then it's decoupled from earth for a little capacitor there. So this holds the bias relative to the earth. So that's kind of good for oscillation stuff and stuff like that. Anyway, output coupling is a 9:1 transformer. It is the double core 2 4:1 auto transformers back to back, which make a 9:1. then because this is a balanced output, I have to unbalance it with this. This is not optional. You have to have it, because if you put this down to earth, you will short out one of those MOSFETs. So this is required. Goes through a 40-meter filter. I'm experimenting with inductor first, choking rather than capacitor first. Capacitors are easier, like, because they're small, you don't have to wind them. But I wanted to see what happened to the drains with experimenting here, and then our power goes out and into, well, this dummy load, which is a little bit overkill for 10 watts. Then another dummy load, or attenuator, and then the tiny SA. Alright, so that's what I've been playing with lately, and yeah, this amplifier is not a terrible hard to build thing. It is set up for taking a PTT signal. It's just that I've got it switched with just a switch at the moment because I'm testing. But I could easily have an RCA connector on here. It's the same type of signal where I pull on a PNP transistor to turn on the bias, which turns on the MOSFET bias, which means also turns on the relay, which means this thing is a full receive transmit amplifier up to, I'm going to guess about 20 watts, maybe 30 watts, but I can't drive it very hard. I've only got about 500 milliwatts here, and I only get about 12, 13 watts out of it with this. And this thing starts distorting way before this thing, so can't even test it properly at the moment. Anyway, this is because I don't have my Hermes light here. Normally I would do amplifier testing with a Hermes light, but this in combination with this at least gets me in the door, so I can have a little bit of a play. Alright, that's pretty much all I have for today. They're all MOSFET amplifier. Well, I lie. These are BJT Class A amplifiers, and that's a MOSFET amplifier, but it's Class A. Just a single-ended output. Obviously, there's 2 transistors down here, and what I was experimenting with is this transformer. It's a single turn of homemade coax. It's basically some copper wire that I've put heat shrink around and then put a braid of a RG58 over that. So very low impedance coax, and this actually cleaned up the drain waveform quite a lot. So I kind of like this design. I might have to put it on my big boy amplifier. Oh yeah, nothing's attached. It's all just like flopping around in the breeze. Anyway, have fun all. That's all I have, and that's what I've been up to for the last 2 days. Just fiddling with this thing. Auto transformer output, very efficient. This thing, this single turn drain coupling, pretty good idea. But honestly, I don't know if you need any of it. The efficiency gains were only like, what, 5 or 10% or something like that for me. So maybe you just want to stick with the regular transformer design that you see around the place. I'll put a picture on it from what this amplifier looked before I started fiddling with it. Alright, 7-3's all, VK4 Delta Lima.